Thank you for watching Morning in the Mountains on the Mountain Fun Life channel. I'm Frank Murphy, and as you know, the Smoky Mountains are within a day's drive of most of the U.S. population. So when you're talking about driving, we're talking about AAA, which I remember when it was the Automobile Club of America.
Yes.
This is Stephanie Milani from AAA. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. I've been a AAA member, I think, longer than I can remember, because my parents were AAA members.
Yes.
And if anything went wrong, call AAA. That's what my mother would say. And my mom gave me and my wife a AAA membership when we got married. So when I look at the year on the card, I feel old.
You know, the first lesson that I learned when I started at AAA was to not say, wow, you've been a AAA member longer than I've been alive.
Yes.
But people love to show you their membership card.
Mine says a very large number on it in terms of how many years I've been a member.
Mine's getting up there now.
All right. And the same thing with our kids. You know, we had them join AAA when they could drive and get married and such on. So we're talking about when visiting the Smoky Mountains. Yeah. Really, I mean, I don't know if it's 100%, but it certainly seems like most people arrive on four wheels. Very few people fly in or kayak in to the Smoky Mountains.
Yeah, so we actually see that most people, regardless of what holiday it is, most people do want to drive to their destination. It's cheaper. You have a little bit more flexibility, a lot more flexibility actually. So you're not rushing to the airport to catch a plane. Although air travel is becoming more popular, we are still seeing that the vast majority of people do want to be in their own car or rent a car. That way you can, take a day trip out somewhere.
When my wife and I went to Europe, to Ireland, guess where we booked our trip? AAA.
Thank you.
So this guy Michael over there in the West Knoxville office, super helpful. But anyhow, tell us about the latest for those of us who are traveling to the Smoky Mountains, because the fall colors are coming.
Yeah, so this whole year we have kind of been hitting record-breaking travel numbers.
Yeah.
This fall probably won't be any different. We're looking at gas prices being between 20 and 25 cents less this year than they were last year.
So I use an app on my phone to get the cheapest ones, and I'm surprised though at the range. And even just driving from the interstate to the studios here in Pigeon Forge, it gets higher, and then there's a dip in Sevierville where it gets really cheap, and then it goes back up again when you get into Pigeon Forge.
Yeah, a lot of that has to do with the demand. So if you're right on the interstate, those stations know that you need gas and you're going to stop somewhere.
Right.
So stop there. And then once you get into Sevierville, that's a lot of local traffic. Then once you come here into Pigeon Forge, there's lots of tourists. They need gas. So a lot of it is what the market can bear. Mm-hmm. But it's also, again, watching those crude oil prices, which have been, they've been a little volatile here lately.
Well, does AAA monitor the retail gas prices the same way like a Gas Buddy app would, or now Google Maps is getting into that business where you pull up a gas station and it'll tell you the price, the actual current price for that minute?
We do. So on the AAA mobile app, you can look at your current location and pull up the gas stations around there. It'll tell you the current price. Now what AAA does is our data goes on actual credit card swipes. A lot of those other
They're self-reported by people like me.
They are self-reported. So you're getting those actual credit card swipes up to the minute.
Neat.
And it'll give you regular, mid, and high grade, and also diesel.
As if I'm using my AAA credit card.
The AAA app.
Oh, I have a AAA credit card.
Oh, very good.
I feel like I should
everything.
I feel like I should be getting paid for this interview.
You're going to get a gold star on your membership.
But you know what I mean? So if I'm using my AAA branded credit card, is that where you're getting the information on the gas prices?
You actually get extra points
for
that. Oh. So let's not forget to add that in.
Okay.
But all credit card swipes, AAA credit card, Visa, MasterCard,
so you get that
whatever.
information then from the gas stations?
Yes, we get all of that information, regardless of the credit card that's
all
used.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who's reporting it. It doesn't matter. It's anonymous to you.
Yes.
All right. Well, this is fascinating to me because I know my wife and I do a lot of driving between here and the Washington, D.C. area, and along I-81, the same thing applies. Where if you take that first stop and get gas at whatever, let's say Withville, for example, it's okay. But if you look at the little app and you see, I can go to, I don't want to give away all my secrets, but it's like Troutville or Trout something. It's like 10 cents cheaper.
Yeah, so you can definitely find some secrets by looking on the app. However, and you probably know this, we don't recommend that you drive out of your way to
Oh, right. No,
save,
yeah.
10 cents. But, once gas prices get high, some people do try to do that, and you're burning the gas that you just saved.
Well, the way to do it is kind of keep track on your daily route and on your normal
Absolutely.
route of what's convenient. And of course, you got to have two people in the car, one to drive and one to navigate.
One to look for prices. I was going to mention that too, because here in Tennessee, also if you're traveling for the holiday that's coming up, Georgia's hands-free, Tennessee is hands-free. So that's the key. You do have to have that second passenger to be your eyes and your hands while you're doing that.
So I love traveling. I mean, we were talking before we came on that my wife and I had a drawer full of the AAA tour books and triptychs from our various sojourns all around the country. So if you were, where do people love to go? If you're visiting the Smoky Mountains, of course, you're coming here. But if you're traveling from here, what are some top destinations that AAA of East Tennessee will see?
Yeah, so what our travel agents tell us is that people from this area love to go to Myrtle Beach. We're also looking at destinations in Florida. Of course, you have Disney World, so anything around Orlando. But we're also looking at the beaches.
That's true. When you live in the mountains, you want to take a vacation on the beach, and when you live at the beach, you want to take a vacation
You
at the
kind of
mountains.
flip-flop
I understand that totally.
Yeah.
And what about you, Stephanie? Where do you like to travel?
Well, love Hilton Head. This fall break, we're actually going to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I've already visited those two states.
Not unfortunately. You like them, you're going back.
I
It's
do
perfectly
like
okay.
them, but several years ago, I think I did one of my first interviews with you. You brought up this idea that you have this goal of visiting all 50 states by the time you're 50.
And someday, I'll turn 50. No, I closed that goal several years back.
Well, it stuck with me, and I
Yes.
thought, man, I'm going to make that my goal.
Oh, it's awesome.
So I still have several states to get to. So I think Alaska and Hawaii are going to be those two
Yeah,
that
because you
are.
really have to fly to those.
You really have to make a plan.
Exactly.
We picked up, I guess it was New Mexico
Nice.
when we were out west. We had a plan, got turned around, and
Yeah.
ended up in New Mexico. So we kind of checked that
Well,
off
now
by
I'm
accident.
at 50 states. My
Yes.
wife's only at 48. So we are trying to figure out how to get her last two, which are Oklahoma and Alaska. So we can probably knock that out in a weekend.
Sure, just do them both.
But
Fly Knoxville to Oklahoma, and
Yeah.
then just hop on up to Alaska.
But more realistically, we'll probably fly to someplace like Dallas and then do a road trip up to see some waterfalls in Oklahoma and then come back.
Nice.
And that kind of thing. But that's what we ended up doing is we'd pick a spot where we had a friend or relative who could stay for free or stay cheap and then plot out the trips from there. Like one day we just did it, one weekend we did it from here, knocked out Huntsville, Alabama, Tupelo, Mississippi, because they're just barely over the line from Tennessee.
Right.
But they still count.
They do, and definitely save a couple of weeks if you want to go to Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
It's I haven't made it there, but I've been kind of planning
We're
my
trying to
trip
go in
for
the
a couple
summer,
of
'cause-
years.
yeah.
And they say spend a week on the cruise, and then spend a week touring, so that you really get everything.
Yeah.
Because once you go,
Right.
You
I
were
just flew to
saying.
Anchorage, spent a week, and flew home. But I was living in California at the time. It was a lot easier.
well, you'll go back with your wife.
There you go. Yes. Well, thank you, Stephanie Milani from AAA. With all the holiday driving coming up and all the fall foliage driving coming up, we appreciate the advice. And we can find you online.
AAA.com.
Okay, that's pretty easy.
Pretty easy.
All right. You're watching Morning in the Mountains on the Mountain Fun Life channel. I'm Frank Murphy. We'll be back with more after this.